So the way that I heard about my kitchen and bath was through a basic Google search, right? And one of the things that happens when you do a Google search with regard to the words bathroom remodel is that you get lots of suggestions. And then when you're done with that search, you start getting lots of advertisements from different providers about what is available, and you even get offers. And so there were a couple of ones that stood out. They were kind of constantly always reminding me that they were available to be able to work with, and I called them and I started to receive quotes. One of the things that was different about my kitchen and bath was that it probably felt the least as pressure, like pressure sales. It also felt a little bit more professional from the perspective of being able to talk about the process, right? What is this process all about? All the other providers, they came in, they measured, they offered me a quote, and they wanted me to sign right then and there. With my kitchen and bath, it was much more of a process. They measured, they went back to their office, to the design center, they came up with ideas, and then I went in for a visit and was able to look at what they had put together, look at the showroom in person, and look at the different materials that I could use and swap out from what they were proposing. And so it all started with a simple Google search, and then I was able to kind of commit myself to the process and really think about getting at least 3 quotes from different vendors, and my kitchen and bath stood up. So the process from the first consultation until getting my wonderful bathroom that I'm so happy about was pretty straightforward. You know, it started with an initial consultation where they came and they measured in order to be able to get, everything really accurate. They asked me the key question, which is if I was going to be moving any of the pipes in my vision of the design, and that was not involved. And so it took about a week later, they came up with an initial design, and I went into the showroom to be able to look at that, to look at the price quote, and look at everything that was kind of being put together just right off the bat based on my initial expression where I had talked about the kinds of colors that I liked, the kind of materials that I liked. And then I was able to sort of see the proposal. And then from there, I made modifications, changed a little bit of the tile design so that it would best fit what I was looking for. And then, right there on that day, I was pretty happy with the selections that I had made from a design perspective, made my deposit. And then one of the things that the design consultant said to me, which I really appreciated, is that none of the work would get started until all of the materials were ordered and all of the materials were in-house. What that meant, and I didn't know this, was that once they get started, they can really just kind of zoom through the project without there being any hesitations or hiccups or waiting periods, right? So the initial wait was just to allow all the materials to come in. And one of the things that I was the most happy about in this entire process is that it only took 8 days from start to finish in terms of the demolition and from when the bathroom was available. Every day I was able to talk to the construction workers at the end of the day and look at the progress that they had made. At the beginning with demolition, it's like, keep going, keep removing all the objects that are there, keep getting rid of the material that is old, and just keep moving forward. It was during the installation that I was really impressed, and that's that as they started to adhere tile, as they started to adhere fixtures, they asked me, are you happy, and is there anything you would like to change? And I was. There was one day when there was a little bit of an issue, and I asked, can this be changed? I'm not too happy with it, and it was really simple. I had a cabinet that had drawers, and if you pulled out the drawers, they were going to hit the edge of the door frame. And so I asked, can you just sort of slide it, just a 1/4 of an inch so that it can be fully brought out? And they were like, no problem. This is not a big deal. This is very easy for us to fix. And that sense that they were willing to ask me, willing to correct the issue, and kind of willing to do it without any kind of pushback or gripes was really a positive experience. And so in the end, after 8 days, the entire project was completed, and I was able to look at my bathroom and just be totally relieved that it was quick, it was easy, and most importantly, it was beautiful. I would most certainly recommend my kitchen and bath. I already have. People have called me and said, hey, who did you work with? I'd like to get a quote from them. But, when I give them the contact information, I also say to them, like, I need you to know two things. Number one, the process was amazing. It was really simple and easy for me to be able to kind of like walk through and be able to be guided from the measurements to the quotes to the design. And then second, the installation was a breeze and it took them only 8 to 9 days. And so that is a huge relief, because as I make the recommendation, people say to me, oh my gosh, the last time that I did a bathroom remodel, it took a month and it took a lot of waiting and it took a lot of, sort of just a long process with working with the workers and waiting for materials to arrive. But the way that my kitchen and bath managed it was pretty straightforward. And so that process was really great. But last but not least, the design in the end and the finished product was just so wonderful and so much, meeting the needs of what I had. I felt like I was heard. I felt like I was listened to, and I felt like everything that I said, from the color palette that I was looking for to the kind of design that I was looking for, that it was really satisfactory. And I couldn't recommend them any higher.